Welcome to My Watches with Ben. This is the fourth video in the multi-video series on traditional field watches. This is the final price range, and with this video, we will have covered all the field watches on the market that you can get, that are new. I excluded like eBay ones, because you can get old Omegas and stuff. Those aren't in here. Just new watches. 304 total watches. Today we're just going to look at 76 watches in this price range. If I missed anything throughout this whole series, please let me know, because the next video will cover the watches I missed. And I already have a handful of these in different price ranges. You know, a couple here, a couple there. I'll have a video just on that. It's probably going to be a shorter video. And then, of course, after that omissions video will be the Thunderdome, where all the top watches compete against each other to determine the top 10 field watches. And people want to know the top 10 hand winding as well. So I'll do top 10 hand winding as well. That'll just be another top 10 at the end, because I don't think that many hand winding watches are going to be in the final top 10. They usually lack crown guards and screw down crowns, so they just don't get quite as high of scores. The cool thing about the video today is that this is the highest performing of all the price categories by a huge margin. This is the sweet spot, 180 to 375. And you know, those limits are kind of arbitrary. I just set up quartiles of the total market. It's almost impossible to find bad ones in this price range. It's crazy. As I mentioned, there's 76 watches today, and I rank them from best down to worst based on a scoring system I set up. That scoring system is covered in video 0. It's a long video. There's a lot to the scoring system. It's more complicated of an idea than you may realize. But you can go there if you want all the nuances of how I do this. But essentially, I just take the specs of the watch, and there's point values assigned to different things. Does it have a screw down crown or not? Does it have crown guards or not? What's the water resistance? What's the lume like? You know, what's the movement? How much does it weigh? Stuff like that. So refer to those earlier videos if you want more info on the philosophy and the scoring system, all that stuff. But in this price range we're talking about today, you'll see a lot of really nice watches. And I mean, I could list like 50 really nice watches, but we've got the Seiko SRPJ 85, Boulder Venture, MWC G10, the Ver C3 Dirty Dozen Ameriquartz, Redwood Kilroy, MWC G10, the Bertucci A-2TS Retrospec, the Citizen BM8180, and many more. Many more really good field watches. So let me show you the scores for the highest price range. Here's how all the scores shook out in this quality price range. A staggering 51% of these are good. A and B grade on the American grading system. Crazy. It's insane. In the affordable price range, that was the next highest. They had 43%. Premium only had 29%. That highest price range only had 25%. This has double the amount of good grade watches that the high price range did. We go through most of the video. Most of the watches, 51%, are going to be good grades. And I mentioned before, your scoring system isn't be all end all, but it's sort of a guidepost, and it tells you this watch has solid specs. And at least in terms of the overall field watch market, if you buy a watch in this price range, you know, $200 to $300-ish, you're going to get a good one, most likely. You know, if you just throw a dart at the dartboard, most likely you're going to get a good spec'd watch. I would stick to the greens. 30% have an okay grade, which means I still think they're suitable as field watches. They're not the top of the class. They're C+, C grades. C- and below, I consider failing. 18% of those have those. But so many of them, if you just slap them on a NATO strap or something, you can get them up to the yellow. So this price range is definitely solid. All right, at this point, we can go through the watches. I'm going to start with the one in 6th place and go down to the one in 76th place. And then I'll save it for the end, the top 5 in this price range. Use the timestamps or chapter system if you just want to skip to the top 5. If I missed any watches, like I said, please let me know so I can put those in the omissions video. Without further ado, let's go to the watch in 6th place. All right, starting off with a good one. In 6th place is the Bertucci D3T Retroform Epic. $345, 42 across, 12.6. On the larger size for a field watch. That's kind of one of the darkest things you'll see here. Brand strength too, but otherwise everything is looking really solid. 200 meters water resistance, screw down crown, titanium case, fixed lug bars, meaning it will only take a pass-through strap. You cannot change, well, you can change the pass-through, but you can't use a 2-piece. And Bertucci makes excellent pass-through straps. The one on the screen might be the same as the one I have on my Bertucci here. just really high quality, very rugged. I'm sorry, mine is filthy because I was working on this Adobe project for a few weeks. I need to clean this thing, but their straps are really nice. I can vouch for that. One downside to Bertucci, usually the lume is not that great. That's the case with this one. It's passable lume. You do get larger indexes at the quadrants, so you can kind of orient in the dark, but it would be nice if the Arabics were lume too. The backlight one is really solid. That was in video number 1, the affordable price range. But yeah, this one's really cool. Very unique case. Never seen another case like this. The lugs are as thick as you could imagine, pretty much. There might be one with thicker lugs. I'm thinking of the Prevail. Might have thicker lugs. These are some thick lugs. Really cool watch. I'd love to check one out. Total score of 93. 7th place is the Bertucci A-11T Americana Officers Edition. $295, $50 cheaper. 42 across, 11 thick. It's titanium. This one also has 200 meters water resistance, screw down crown, nice crown guards. It's got the fixed lugs again. And between the last video and this one, and I apologize it took me so long to do this, I just did some basic Googling trying to figure out, okay, what were the original traditional field watches? And yeah, A11, A17, the G10, the Dirty Dozen ones. Those are kind of the original field watches. Even the Korean ones are considered traditional. And yeah, this was given to pilots, but it's still considered to be a field watch. This one is nice. Unlike the last one, it does have a recessed crystal. So like the watch I have in my hands, that crystal sits below the bezel. So that's really nice. Lume is okay on this one. You've got your Arabics and your hands. Doesn't look like the second hand is lumed, but that could be an older lume shot, because if you look here, they have the paddle, and you can see a little strip of lume. So I think of the current Americana model, they do have lume on the second hand. Unfortunately, it has this date. I'd prefer if that wasn't there. It'd score higher if it didn't have the date. They shined up that titanium. You're going to scratch it probably the first day you get it. Titanium is a little softer than steel. At least grade 2 titanium is, so it'll probably scratch up. It's a classy looking one though. Probably Bertucci's classiest looking watch they have. Score of 92. 8th place is the Armorlight Mountaineer AL146. $290, 42 across, 10.8. And they do have a black one as well. I've got the white one on the scorecard. I think there's a black as well. Really like the black hands on the white dial. That is excellent. I would have liked if they bordered these tritium indexes with black as well, so it'd be a little bit easier to see. You do have the Arabics, but Arabics are kind of imprecise, so I would like to see black around these. It does have 15 tritium tubes, meaning there's one on the hand, on the second hand. That's really nice. I like that there's a contrast in color at 12 o'clock. It has screw bars. Screw bars are superior even to fixed lug bars, because if you want to, you can change the strap. You just have to get your Allen wrenches out and swap the strap. Going to be way more robust than spring bars. It's really nice. Total score of 91. 9th place, the MWC G10. MWC stands for Military Watch Company. I think this is the highest scoring of all the MWC watches. It's $257, 39 across, 13.3. G10 is just a very classic design of a field watch. They chose to have gigantic numbers. A viewer told me that the L means luminescent, the L in the circle. Unlike some other G10s, this one does have a little more slender lugs. The lume is pretty solid on this. I mean, what they did lume is really solid. They didn't get second lume. This is still really solid. And in the lume shot, you see there's a date. You can get these date or no date. This is the no date version. MWC also does fixed lugs a lot of the time, and this one has fixed lugs, so it'll only take a pass through. This one's a little bit cheaper than the CWC G10, the famous one, but not by all that much. Just like $40 cheaper or something. I put the national stock number, so you can order it. If you're in the Department of Defense, you could order the watch, because I guess they buy these. Total score of 90. 10th place is the MWC G10 SL Tritium. I don't know why it says SL, but SL is for the Tritium version. It's $347, 40 across, 13 thick. Unlike the Armorlight, this does not have a tritium tube on the second hand. The needle second hand is not lumed at all. They did give you double orange tubes at the 12. That's really nice. Their pictures are just not that great. MWC takes bad product shots. I think I had some nicer pictures of this. The yellow one does look a little bit better rather than the red. Another great option. We're still in the A grades. Total score of 90. 11th place is the MWC A-17 US 1950s Korean. Modeled after the Korean War watches. $252, 40 across, 11.5 thick. very traditional look to it. You get the minute Arabics, the standard Arabics, and the military Arabics all there. I like that. It does make the dial a little bit more busy, but I think it gives you more utility. It gets 30 out of 30 for utility, in my opinion. This one does use spring bars, so if you want a two-piece strap, you can do that with this. The lume is pretty solid on it. No second lume, but otherwise great lume. No date on it. Very traditional choice. Screw down crown, 100 meters water resistance. It's very robust. They used a quartz movement, which I think is better for a field watch that you intend to use, because quartz is more robust. Quartz is more shock resistant. It's more accurate. It is superior timekeeping technology. Cool looking watch, bad picture of it. I think I have some better pictures where they actually have some natural light or something. Total score of 90. 12th place is the Boulder Venture Carbon Black, the black version. They may have other colors too. $299, 38 across, 12 thick. I really like the style of the case. It's really pleasing. It's titanium. These watches near the top, there's so many titanium ones. Screw down crown, 200 meters water resistance. Yeah, these guys get it. They made a really robust field watch. They preserved the traditional elements to it. They did a really interesting case shape. I like the orange. I really like their logo. That looks nice. The lume is really solid on this. Probably the best lume we've seen so far. Nice big application on the second hand. Full indexes and Arabics. There's no date or anything on it. Very traditional aside from the cool looking case. Yeah, 9 out of 10 for me on the vibes. I think they did a great job. Total score of 88. 13th place, the Redwood Kilroy. $219, 40 across, 10.7. Redwood is a Canadian watch company. That's pretty cool. It's solar powered. Very traditional layout. The rounded numbers are really pleasing to me. Very traditional looking. Nice big triangles. No date or anything. Very clean and simple. Very traditional. Lume is okay on it. No, I would have liked to see the Arabics loomed is all. Otherwise, it looks great. I love the lollipop on the second. You know, that'll last longer than just like a stick. When they just lume a stick, it doesn't last as long as the lollipop. So that's superior. It's a cool one. Screw down crown, 100 meters water resistance. Solid specs on this thing. Score of 88. 14th place, the Momentum Smoke Jumper Eclipse Solar. $265, 38 across, 11.5. I almost got this one. What held me back in the past is that I had a Hamilton Khaki Field Automatic. And it's clearly just ripping off the design of the Hamilton Khaki Field Automatic. Even with the red tip on the seconds, the little circle counterbalance. The only thing that differs from the Hamilton design-wise is that these hands, because Hamilton uses syringe hands. They went with sword hands on this one. Otherwise, the dial format is identical. This one does have improvements over the Hamilton, which is why I'm so interested in it. It has a screw-down crown, which the Hamilton doesn't. It's titanium. It has crown guards. It has a solar movement, solar quartz movement, which is, in my opinion, for a working field watch, is superior to the automatic. Really neat one. Lume pattern looks identical to the Hamilton. That's exactly what the Hamilton looks like. It's a lot cheaper than the Hamilton, too. Score of 88. 15th place, we're still B+, is the Citizen Garrison BM8180. $206, only 37 across. Excellent. 9.5 thick. I mean, that's the thinnest watch we've seen so far. Yeah, this one is definitely solid. The day date, I prefer no day date. I don't want any dates on the traditional field watch. Some of you guys prefer it. Citizen might be a good one for you then. I don't think it scored all that well in the video I did a year and a half ago. It scores great with this scoring system I have now. I'm not penalizing day date as much as I did in the past. Look, only 3 points off. I think it was like 10 points off the last one. So yeah, this watch does better when I reined it in a little bit. The lume is excellent on this watch. Huge triangle that's loomed. Citizen just has great lume, in my experience. The Citizen watches I've had have all been really excellent in the lume department. You get really high brand strength with Citizen. It's the highest brand strength so far. Most of the watches so far have had like red here because they've had so low brand strength. This one's really good. It looks pretty darn traditional as well. Total score of 88. 16th place, this is a new one to me, the Festina F20081 Quartz. $336, 41.8 across, 10 thick. It is indeed a quartz movement in here. Swiss quartz. They have an interesting geometric shape that's asymmetrical here. It looks cool. I don't hate it. Bold font here for the numbers. Their hour and minute hands actually have counterbalances, which looks a little bit odd. Most watches don't have counterbalances to the hour and minute. You have a Cyclops on the date, so choose your side in that age-old debate. Is a Cyclops good or a Cyclops bad? I actually like Cyclopses personally. That's the side I take. I think they look cool, but some people just can't stand them. The lume is solid on this. Really good lume. Even though it's a render, I think the real thing is going to hold up. Screw down crown, 100 meters water resistance. It's more rugged than the Hamilton Khaki Field Automatic. A lot of watch companies make superior watches, in my opinion, to some of the more famous ones. It is a little silly that they have slashes in between the seconds because it's a regular quartz. It's a deadbeat quartz. It's only going to be hitting the major marks. Although this isn't hitting the major marks. So that almost rubs salt in the wound. The fact that they've got all these lines in between. So that was a little bit silly. It does give that dial a little bit more presence, though, to have those slashes in between. Total score of 87. 17th place is the Centric Instruments Field Watch Mark III. $225, 40 across, 9.45. It's 0.5 millimeters thinner than the Citizen. So this is now the thinnest watch. It does have the 100 meters screw down crown. Nice onion crown here. Fotina is a little bit strong for me. I think it's too brown. Be nice if it was just more yellowy Fotina or just white. I think white would look even better. They didn't disguise the solar panel whatsoever. It's looking very solar panel-y. It's got kind of the purpley, brownish, blackish, nebulous color to it that those solar panels have. The lume is solid. Index is an Arabics. Full second stick is loomed. Even in the middle, that looks good. I like that. Total score of 87. 18th place, the famous CWC G10. $296, 36.5 across, 10.5 thick. Yes, it only has 50 meters water resistance. This one has the fixed lugs. You cannot swap those out. You have to use a pass-through. This one is issued to soldiers. Lume, unfortunately, no lume on the second hand, no Arabics. So it got kind of a lower lume score. But you do have the option to have nice bright second hand if you want. I think the red looks the best. I think there's a blue and a yellow. If you like a yellow second hand, you could get that. That looks good too. That's what I would do. If I bought this one, I would not go for the white second hand. I'd get some color. Just gives a little more character. It does have a domed acrylic crystal. Got a domed acrylic crystal on this watch right here. It has scratched, but it is warmer. Like people say, it's very clear when you look through it. It's pleasing. There's something pleasing about acrylic crystals. Supposedly it's easy to buff it out. I have not tried that on mine. I probably should. Honestly, the scratches don't bother me very much. If it bothered me, I would buff it. If it will bother you, get yourself some Polywatch. Be prepared to buff out scratches. But yeah, this one's famous for a reason. I really like it. I like the H-shaped case. I mean, G10 is just a very pleasing design. Nice big standard Arabics. Very clear to read. I like it a lot. Score of 86. 19th place is the Wolbrook Outrider Mecha Quartz. $219, 38 across, 12 thick. Mecha Quartz means these little tiny marks in between the seconds, if you could somehow count them, you could do that on this one because it's got a sweepy seconds. So that's nice. It says France right here. I guess they make it in France. Oh, this one says Douglas. Should it say Douglas Outrider Mecha Quartz? I don't know. It's the same brand, Douglas and Wolbrook. I like the brushed bezel. The case looks really solid, how they connected the case here. Sometimes they'll cut out this little portion here, so you have a round top to the case here. I like this. It looks good. Comes on a Zulu strap. They've taken the Dirty Dozen aesthetic and have a subdial here. The subdial is for a day-night indicator rather than a small seconds. I think I would have preferred a small seconds. Would have scored a little better that way too. Here is the lume shot. Decent lume. They loomed the day-night indicator. So if it's totally dark, you're in some cave, you don't even have light, and you've been there for weeks, at least you'll know if it's day or night with this indicator. If you think you'll be in that situation, definitely pick up the Wolbrook. Score of 86. 20th place is the Mr. Eat Well Chino. $315, 36 across, 12 thick. Great size. I'm wearing a 36. I love a 36. I put that as the bottom of my golden size window though. I did 36 to 40. Once you deviate plus or minus that window, you start to get like 1 point penalties for every millimeter pretty much. This one has a 1 point penalty because it's 12 thick. Yeah, 11 is the break-even point for the thickness. You start to get bonuses when you're thinner than 11. These guys are just homaging either the Cincinnati Centurion or sort of the Hamilton Khaki. They did things different than the Cincinnati. Cincinnati has military Arabics on the outside, but they copied this railroad track thing with the triangles. I think they just copied Cincinnati. I don't think this guy has a lot of sales volume. I could only find a few pictures of it. Pretty obscure, but you can buy one, so it's in the video. If there's a watch out there and I'm aware of it and it's a field watch and you can buy it, it's in the video. So this guy made it in. Lume is actually really solid on this. Huge amount of lume on the second hand. That'll probably last all night. Date window is totally bizarre. It's not at the 4. It's not between the 4 and the 5 like you sometimes see. It's like offset. It's 350, 345, something bizarre. I don't like that. That's super weird. Otherwise, a cool watch. Score of 86. 21st place is the Bertucci A-2TS Tactical Field Solar. $349. 40 across, 10.4 thick. USA assembly. Yes, Ver is a USA company, and they try to do AmeriQuartz and stuff when they can. They're trying to source American where they can, and I appreciate that. I think that's a cool thing to do. It's 100 meters, screw down crown. I get inundated with their ads, and that's one of the things they say, water resistance. So yeah, it's got a screw down crown, 100 meters water resistance. That's great. I like that they have the minute Arabics on the outside, standard Arabics, military Arabics. I think that's great. Maximum utility. It has a date complication, but at least it's color matched. That gets 1 point more than just a regular date. I think that's a nice touch. Doesn't stick out quite as much. The lume is solid. That's another thing they say in their ads. It's got great lume. I cannot disagree with that. Oh, this lume shot, there's no date. Maybe you can get this without a date. Look into that. Oh, that'd be cool. Well, it would score 1 point higher. The strap looks really nice. It is only a fabric strap though. It's a 2-piece strap. It's not a NATO. Obviously put a NATO on it if you prefer. It's kind of a plain watch. As I mentioned before, I love that it's white. The hands are total white. I think that's better than steel. It gives you higher contrast for a tool watch. Score of 85. 22nd place is the California watch Lost Coast Solar. It's $250, 38 across, 10 thick. Very similar case to that Boulder Venture. Very, very similar. Yeah, look at the Boulder. I think I like the Boulder case a little bit better. They've got a 4 o'clock crown. Oh no, this is nicer. I actually like the 3 o'clock crown. Yeah, I like this case a lot. And it's sort of flat, and then they just have it kind of angle up for the bezel. This is really appealing. I almost bought this watch. It came very close. And the reason why is because it has the traditional field watch elements, but it's fresh. You know, they've got the colors. They made this solar panel like a design element of the watch. They even probably painted on the grid pattern to make it look even more solar panel-y. I like the recessed crown. It's just as good as crown guards, but it's a little more elegant looking. California as like an idea. I mean, California's beautiful. I'll just leave it at that. I've been there a few times and it's a beautiful state. Like the nature is beautiful in that state. This lume is really nice on this. There's no second lume though. It does have a lume chapter ring, which is very rare. It's a very nice thing to have on a watch. Very easy to tell the time. You can see it's exactly 10:08. That's really sweet to have that there. Since it didn't have the second hand, I didn't give it lume chapter bonus. I kind of did a middle ground here, scoring wise. I love that there's 2 colors. Lume should be fun. They made it a lot of fun on this watch. Even lumed their logo. Those are the kind of touches you get with micro brands, which are really nice. It's a great size, 38 millimeters wide, 10 millimeters thick. It's fantastic. Total score of 84. 23rd place is the Hook plus Gaff Field Watch. $325, 41 across, 12 thick. Left hand crown. That's the most obvious thing that sticks out when I look at it. Cross-hatched knurling on the crown. I like that a lot. You've got all the minute Arabics, standard Arabics, military Arabics, even little dots here around there. It's really easy to tell what the hour is. I don't know if you need the dots, but I like it. I like the goose on it. That's really cool. The printing is nice. I like the 3-dimensional element here. The inner portion is a little bit sunken in. It's very pleasing. I like this color, this kind of, you know, overcast blue they have. It looks really nice. The other colors are good too. I really like the black color as well. Green, tan, and white, those ones are not for me. If I got this one, I'd probably get the black. Lume is okay, not great. It's a really cool one. They really leaned into the hunting thing. In some of the product shots, they've got shotguns and stuff, so kind of marketing as a hunting watch. Score of 84. 24th place, the MWC G10 BH. $188, 40 across, 11.5 thick. This one only has 50 meters water resistance, so that's not ideal. The G10 aesthetic. I would go with the other G10 personally. This one does have military Arabics though. I do not like the green. looks bad. I mean, it might look better in other shots. Instead of a light box for their pictures, they use like a dark box. I think that's what they do. They put their watch in a black box and then take a picture of it, and it makes it look really weird. Just weird colors. You need to take it out of that dark box, put it in some natural light. It'll look a lot better. Couldn't find a lume shot for this. The date doesn't look good. The crown being a different color. I don't think this is the MWC to get. They have a lot of cool watches. I mean, it still scores great. If you like the aesthetic, go for it. It's a solid field watch. I think they have better watches though. Score of 84. 25th place is the Bear C3 Dirty Dozen Ameriquartz. Is this the first true Dirty Dozen? I think it is. It's 239 bucks, 36 across, 9.4 thick. The thinnest so far. This is the thinnest. American assembly. I like to see that. That's great. Very clean. I love when it's just very bright numbers. And they did Fotina for these, so you have a contrast there. The case looks really clean. It's all just brushed really nicely. The lume is knock your socks off. It looks really, really cool. I like that a lot. Yeah, I think there's probably a Bear watch in my future. It might be this one. This is looking really good. Screw down crown. And we're still in the B grades. We're still in the good watches. Well, what did I say? There was 51% are good grade watches. Yeah, so we still have a lot more greens to go. Total score of 83. 26th place, probably the highest scoring Seiko in the whole thing, I think, is the Seiko SRP J85. 295 bucks, 36.4 across. Smaller, you know, look at my wrist. I have a 36 on. It's going to be similar to that, I think. 12.5 thick. They've got the day date. It was a huge penalty last time, not that huge this time. And it's a color matched. So it's only a -2. The last video would have been a -10, barely passing. Well, okay. Yeah, scored under the last system. If that's the only factor we considered, I guess it would have been a 75. I'm glad I adjusted some things. This day date is not the end of the world. I don't like it. I would not have the day date, but this one has it. It's not the end of the world. I like the accent here. They make one with gray numerals, I think, instead of the cream. It would have been nice if they loomed the Arabics, but they didn't. These are the things that, you know, these brands with higher brand strength, a lot of times, they just feel like they don't have to. So they save some money, they don't do the Arabics. But yeah, with Seiko, brand strength is as high as it can get. You know, there's only a few watches at the very, very top, and Seiko's one of them. They sell a ton of watches, have a ton of brand recognition. They are at the top of the watch game, that's for sure. Obviously, I think they're better field watches, but this is still a good one. I can definitely recommend this one. Score of 83. 27th place, this is an oddball. The Prevail Onward Future Field. This is what the robots will be wearing in the future. It's 275 bucks, 42 across, only 11 thick. It looks like it'd be like 47 millimeters across. It's gonna have a tiny little dial. If it's 42 left to right, I mean, good grief, what is this dial? Like 24 millimeters across or something crazy. It's gonna be a very small dial. Okay, so I was speculating, are these lugs thicker than that other one? The lugs actually aren't even that thick. The case is so huge, but then the lugs aren't even that wide. I like the chevrons for the A. That's pretty cool. Lume is nice on this. When it's fully dark, you'll get to see that line in the middle. I think that'll look really cool. I like what they did with the hands. A lot of thought and love went into this. It's a really neat looking watch. Crown is really rugged, but it doesn't stick out super far, so it's probably not going to dig into the back of the hand. It is quartz. It actually has a recessed crystal, so that's nice. Very few watches have that. It definitely protects it. It's increased protection for that crystal. That's nice. It's an oddball, but it's, you know, it's really solid protection. I would have liked to see all the numbers on this. If they had a version with all the numbers, I would enjoy that. Total score of 83. 28th place is the RZE Valor 38. 359 bucks, 38 across, 11 thick. RZE is doing some cool stuff. I like their watches. The case is really pleasing. Got some sharp lines on it, but, you know, similar to that Boulder Venture, they've got this like downward angle for the lugs here. It looks really nice. I think the black one looks a little better aesthetically, but the lume is not nearly as good. This one has full lume. They loomed the heck out of this watch. As I've mentioned before, you have lower contrast in the dark when you lume the hands. There's no point to that. You would have higher contrast if these were black, and higher contrast in the day too. So there's really no reason to put lume on the hands of a full lume watch. On Watch Crunch, I made a Crusader watch. I just mocked up a Crusader watch. And yeah, I'll put it on the screen so you can see. And of course, my vision would be a full lume watch with solid hands. And I know some people do that. Some watches do have the solid hands. That's the way to go. This is a solid offering though. You got the crown guards, nice hobnail pattern on the crown, thick crown, titanium. 6 o'clock date is nice, gives it some more symmetry. It does come on a silicone strap, which is odd. That definitely costs it a lot of points. It'd be a better field watch on a NATO. It's fun that they did different colors for the date window. You know, yellow numbers on a black background. You just don't get that with mainstream watches. You have to go to microbrands for that stuff. Or mod your own watch. You can get those aftermarket. And I've done that personally. It's not all that hard to swap out a date wheel. It's really not that bad. I mean, you have to take the hands off. That means you have to put the hands on. So I would only do that mod if I also wanted to change the hands. And maybe with this one I would do that. Maybe I would get hands too. In terms of watch modding, it's not that hard to swap out a date wheel on an NH35. Total score of 82. 29th place, the Rotary Commando Field Watch. Ignore the Commando. They have a lot of things that are called Commando. You need this long series of numbers if you want to find this exact watch. It's $253. 37 across. Excellent. 8.6. 8.6. That is the thinnest so far. Thinnest watch we've seen is this Rotary. It's quartz, as you would imagine. Comes on a leather pass-through. Really nice dial format. They made the military Arabics nice and small to kind of minimize the visual overload you get when they're super huge. The logo is pleasing. I like the semicircle thing. Kept the text a little discreet. They made it smaller. I like that. I love a spade on the end of the hour hand. Very pleasing to me. I like that they made a red triangle at the top. Could not find a lume shot, unfortunately. Per description, only the hands are lumed. So, and you can see that. You do get the second hand lumed, but you can see that, yeah, they didn't lume anything else. Per description, push-pull crown. The specs are getting less strong. You know, all the watches are going to have some downsides from here on out. You know, the lume and the push-pull crown. There's a couple downsides on this one. Score of 82. 30th place is the Winfield Model 1941 PVD. $315, 42 across, 13 thick. It's got that physical vapor deposition, you know, just a coating on the steel case to protect it. Usually the coating is harder than the steel, so it's harder to scratch it. That's nice, but it collects dust and stuff when you have a black case. Fantastic lume. This one has the lume chapter, and it gets the lume chapter bonus. They have lume on the second as well. Really strong lume. They even lumed the word automatic. More lume than you have to have. They just went all out with that. Very solid option. 100 meter screw down crown, crown guards. This one is solid. Brand strength is the biggest penalty on here. It is a little bit big too. It's on the larger size for field watch. It says they regulate the movement. That's interesting. Although I have a watch that says it was regulated, and it's still plus 5 seconds a day. So, I mean, we're not getting chronometer here, but a lot of times the unregulated movements get the same timekeeping. I wouldn't get too excited about regulated movements because an automatic movement, even the fanciest ones, even the chronometers, it can't hold a candle to the plus or minus 5 seconds per month that you get with the quartz. You know, even those chronometers will be like plus 2 or 3 seconds a day. Over the course of the month, you're going to be a minute and a half off or something. To me, it's not a big deal. And well, the other thing is, I don't wear the same watch every day. I swap watches. I have a lot of watches. So I think it's a little overhyped, the idea of adjusting or regulating the movements, or even the chronometer thing. There is some value there. It's diminishing returns. How much effort you have to put into it to get just a little bit more performance. When instead you could grab a quartz and it's really cheap and really, really reliable and accurate. Total score of 82. 30. First place, another oddball, is the -8 Field 1S. $298, 39 across, 12 and a half thick. The case is so cool. I've never seen a case that I like as much as this one. Really accommodating that pass-through strap nicely. Big permanent lug bars here. They did all kinds of crazy weird stuff with the hands. I mentioned the counterbalance on that Citizen. These counterbalances are insane. It does make it a little bit harder to read the time. It's just a lot of stuff on that dial to look at. The logo's cool, the -8. I like that. The number after 6 and 7. Sorry, I have little kids, so that's all they can talk about. 200 meters water resistance, screw down crown. Who needs knurling on your crown? Let's just have a smooth crown. That's what they decided. Just sharp wings for the crown guards. The whole thing is just looking sharp. It's looking very futuristic. Maybe even more futuristic than that Prevail Future Field. Humongous numbers for the 369, but you do get all the standard Arabics. The lume is cool on it. They put orange lume at the 3 and the 9. Who else does that? Nobody does that. Only these guys. Orange counterbalanced the second, but then blue over here. Nobody does that. It's very interesting, very quirky. It's a cool micro brand. I like their watch. It's a little too weird for me, especially as a traditional field watch. Traditional vibe, I gave 5 out of 10. It probably should be lower. This should probably be a few points lower because this is not traditional whatsoever. I don't know what I was thinking with this rating. Very cool watch though. Score of 82. 32nd place is the SWC Arc. 225 bucks, 38 across, 8.5, only thick, very thin. 100 meters water resistance, screw down crown, titanium case, grade 2. It is a quartz with a small seconds. We have a color matched date, sort of color matched. In other shots, it looks more similar, the dial and the date. In the product shot, it doesn't look, these look like totally different colors. It's kind of just a plain watch from Swiss Watch Company. I've mentioned the logo is not my cup of tea. Fabric strap. I can't tell if this is a pass-through or, like, I have a Velcro strap that it's just Velcro on both sides. So it's not technically a pass-through. If the spring bar fails, that thing's falling off my wrist. So I can't tell which one this is. It's hard to tell if it goes under or if it goes actually through. If it does go through, then the whole score should be higher. But I think it goes under. Velcro is really nice. I love the Velcro strap I got. It is really, really comfortable. If it was longer, I think a pass-through Velcro is the way to go. I think I need to get some more of those Velcro straps. Find ones that are nice and long and do that because it's really enjoyable. Very breathable. You can get exactly the distance you want. I'm a big fan of Velcro straps. The lume is solid on this. You even get lume on the small seconds. It's not very common. Total score of 82. 33rd place is the Kingsbury MS4 Regiment Auto. 189 bucks, 39 across, 12 thick. I love how this thing looks. It really jumped out at me. Maybe it's the yellow, the sector, all these little markings. They kind of reversed what you normally do. Normally the full second marks go out into the dial. They did it the opposite way. Whatever they did with this dial, I really love it. It all comes together. The regiment, the green NATO strap, the hobnail pattern on the crown. It just gets me going. So much so that I just, when I was setting up the scorecards, I said, that has to be a wild card. I will mark this as a wild card for the final runoff. And then I forgot to mark any other wild cards in this video. I just forgot it entirely. So I apologize. This is the only wild card. I will choose wild cards. And you can help me choose wild cards. If there's a particular watch you like, just tell me you like, this one should go to the final runoff. The CWC G10, that's probably a wild card too. But just tell me you like a watch and I'll give it a wild card. Because in the final runoff, I take the top 5 from each price category. That'll be 20 watches. And then I need 30 more wild cards from the omissions video, from just pulled, like this one, like this Kingsbury. So just let me know what you want to be wild cards. And those will be the ones that do the Thunderdome that are in the final runoff. But yeah, it's 200 meters water resistance, screw down crown. There's a lot of pink on here, just a lot of little stuff, spring bars, all those sorts of things. They start to add up. And sometimes it's hard to analyze, to deconstruct what exactly is the reason this isn't a 90 or something. And you look and there's all these little -2s. They all add up. If it had a solar quartz movement or something, it'd be much higher. Stuff like that. It all goes together. Brand strength, it's losing 4 points there. If it was a Seiko instead of Kingsbury, these things add up. Oh, let's look at the lume. Lume looks okay. This grainy photo was all I could find. You get hour and minute and Arabics, but that's all you get. So lume could be better. You could have second lume. You could have the indexes loomed as well. I just really like the look of it. Maybe it wouldn't look as good head on. Is that a trick they pull? I try to get images that are head on for everything, but I couldn't get a head on image for this one. Sweet option, score of 81. 34th place is the Timex Expedition Titanium Quartz. We've seen the automatic version. Here's the quartz. 259 bucks, 38 across, 12.5 thick. They advertise shock resistant. Yeah, I mean, with the quartz movement, you really don't have to worry about shock. It's just not a problem. Now, the hands could fall off or something. A digital quartz is going to be even more shock resistant than a quartz with gears and 3 hands. But so much better than an automatic movement on that front. I like the dull titanium. They leaned into that. They just made it a part of the design. Didn't try to make it flashy. Maybe they did it for cost savings. I don't know. But I think it's appropriate on a field watch. Very simple design. I like the mountains that they have. Per description, there's only lume on the hands and not on the dial. So that's a major missed opportunity. Couldn't find a lume shot of those, just hands only. This is a cool option. you know, if you really like the Timex Expedition, you don't want to pay for the automatic, save a bunch of money, get the quartz. And the white one looks really cool with the red accents. Score of 81. 35th place is the Boulder Ranger Shamba. 299 bucks, 40 across, 12 thick. Cool stencil numerals. Those look nice, give it more of a military look. They have this dive style sword hour hand, which is very wide. That's interesting. That's kind of a dive watch thing to do, to have different colored hands. I think it's okay in a field watch. I don't have a problem with that. The case is very simple, kind of the G10 H-shaped case. I like what they did with the crown guards here. I like the crown. I like the kind of anthracite grayish dial here. Just looks a little bit different. The lume is solid on it. Second hand just has a thin little strip that probably won't last too long, but it's nice that they lume the second hand. I like the contrasting colors. The strap looks nice. Lots of water resistance. This is a good one. Score of 81. In 36th place is the Kentex JSDF Solar S715M-01. Actually, this is the JGSDF. They have some other models. I think it has to do with, like, it's the ground forces versus the Air Force, you know. But anyway, 182 bucks, 42 and a half cross, 11 thick. Decent specs on it. It's 100 meters water resistance, push-pull crown. I mean, push-pull, I'd rather see screw down. At least you get the crown guards. It's a nice shiny case. Numbers are interesting. It's looking super Japanese. Really like this pattern on the dial. That looks really nice. Made in Japan. Get the Japanese flag. Unfortunately, I could not find a lume shot using English words to search for this, so can't really find a lume shot. Probably if you know the kanji, you could find a lume shot, but I couldn't find one. But they've got lume on the hands and on the Arabics. This one also has the date at a weird spot, like one of those other watches we saw. It's not quite at the 4 o'clock. It's not between 4 and 5. It's this weird sort of kind of between 3 and 4. I don't like that. I don't know why the date window has to be there. I prefer if they put it somewhere else. I guess it's because the crown's right there. Yeah, it's not ideal. Total score of 81. 37th place is the Timex Expedition North Titanium. And this is the automatic one. It says shock resistant on this one too. It's not, from what I understand. They're probably trying to give themselves credit for the Inca block thing. The little sleeve that goes over the jewel that allows there to be a little bit of give in that. I don't give it credit just for that. Because all automatic movements have that. All modern movements have the Inca block or DuraShock or whatever. There's different names for it. Parashock. I mean, it's good. I'm glad modern automatic movements have that, but still not as shock resistant as just a regular old quartz. Little tiny date here at the 3 o'clock. These ones are praised for the 200 meters water resistance, the screw down crown, the titanium. Those are all really nice. Lume is actually really good on this one too, the automatic version. Get all the stuff loomed, even the little mountains there. No second lume, unfortunately. Serviceable field watch, absolutely. Give it a good grade. Total score of 80. 38th place is the LL Bean Casco Bay Field. $249, 40 across, 11 thick. I don't think it's been discontinued. I don't think they're never going to make these again. But I will note on the website, it said they were sold out at the moment of recording. Hopefully they'll make more. It's a cool option. It does have 15 tritium tubes. You get a tube on the second hand. They even have a color match date complication between the 4 and 5. Thank you. You're going to have the date on there. I like this because it preserves all the numbers. Here's a picture of that tritium lume. It's going to be okay. I really like that there's an orange tube at the top. Oh, it doesn't match exactly. Okay, well, they've had different iterations of the Casco Bay. So this is one of the ones they had in the past. They had the tubes going horizontally instead of vertically at one point. This one has the vertical tubes. Decent field watch. A good field watch. Score of 80. All right, 39 of the 39 good grade watches is the Helm Togiak Scout. This is the last good grade one, but we got to 39 out of 76 total. So yeah, more than half are good grade. 265 bucks, 39 and a half across, 13.5 thick. Interesting handset here. Really big arrow for the hour hand. They do a day date, but they do it vertically. That's kind of fun. I like that. Full minute Arabics and the standard and the military. All of it's there. Like the orange on it. The case looks very boxy. These straight lugs. 4 o'clock crown, crown guards, crosshatch, knurling. It's looking rugged. Does get 100 meters and a screw down crown. It's a solid field watch. The lume is really nice on it. Excellent lume. Even the day date is loomed. They just slapped lume on everything. Very nice. Total score of 80. 40th place is a nice one, the Praesitis Jungle Field OG. $195, 34 millimeters. So this is a really small one, only 9.4 thick. Yes, I mean, that's traditional sizing. They got the traditional sizing with this one. Unfortunately, it's not very robust. 50 meters push-pull crown. That should be improved. No date. It's very traditional. They actually loomed the military Arabics. That is sweet. No second loom, though, unfortunately. Apparently, this is a mecha quartz, so you're going to get a smooth sweep second. That's really nice. Yeah, Praesitis has some really nice watches in their lineup. Not a ton of brand strength. But they're doing good stuff at Praesitis. Total score of 79. All right, another Seiko. In 41st place is the Seiko SRPG 37. $268, 39.4 across, 13.2 thick. So that other one we saw was a 36 something. This is like a 39, a little bit more presence. Still have the day date. They really like day dates on their field watches. It's color matched, that's good. It's pretty similar to the other one. This one does have applied indices though. There's a little penalty for that because they can fall off. They do, I've seen the pictures. I personally have experienced an applied index falling off. So it does happen. They're just glued on. Lume is, again, with so many Seikos, at least their field watches, the lume is not impressive. You do get second lume though. That's nice. It's a suitable option. C+ grade. Score 79. 42nd place is the Ubique Trek Aqualite. $259, 38 across, 11.1 thick. Titanium. Really interesting pattern on the crown. I don't know what they did there, but that's cool. The dial is gorgeous. Looks like these numerals are just floating above it. It's a really cool effect they have going on here. The case shape is interesting too. The colors are very loud. That's not very traditional. It actually has full lume, which I didn't realize. So it should have one more point. I guess it should be a score of 80, which means we have even more good grade watches. The orange one also has full lume. There's no date anywhere on here. We're starting to see, and we'll see more of these, I think, of breaking up the standard indexes. Said partial 1 through 24, because you get the military on the outside, but you get incomplete standard Arabics. So that gets a little penalty there. Really neat one, off the wall, something a little different. Score 79. 43rd place is the Citizen BM 8595, and it's $275, 42 across, 10.8. Doesn't look traditional at all. It looks more modern, almost like fashion watch. What is all this? Oh, you have a compass, a static compass on the inside. I don't know how useful that is. And then they give you every 2 minutes or 2 seconds up to 16. And there's an arrow. I don't know what that's for. It probably has a purpose. I just don't know what it is. It does have eco drive, so solar quartz movement. The green and this like gray-brown look cool together. Good application of lume. You get your Arabics and the hour and minute, but no second. Yeah, again, not looking very traditional. Total score of 79. All right, this one looks traditional with a modern twist. In 44th place is the Vario D12. $368, 37 across, 10.5 thick. The 12 is obviously referencing Dirty Dozen. So you've got the small seconds that the original Dirty Dozens had. Apparently that was less complicated of a movement. It's more complicated to have a central seconds. So these were easier to produce. And then also people say it's easier to read the time because you just have 2 hands to look at in the center. Lume is a highlight on this one. I love when there's 2 colors and it looks like they just slapped a ton on there. Lume is impressive on this Vario. 420 crown here. Anyway, this is where they put the crown. It's fine, no problem. They have some nice polish on the outer chamfer of the bezel. Score 78. 45th place, the Luminox Atacama Field Quartz. In the premium price range, we saw the automatic. This is the quartz version. Looks exactly the same. $356, 43 across, 13 thick. I think it's the same dimensions too. I don't know for certain, but I think the quartz probably scores higher because quartz does edge out automatics because it comes with anti-shock automatically, in my opinion, and it's more accurate. Again, you only get 14 tubes on this guy. They're the 14 tubes. I like that they chose orange for the 12 and for the hands. Just a little bit more interest in the dark. And lume is for the wow factor. This is going to be impressive. Total score of 78. 46th place is the Vincero Scout. $279, 40 across, 12 thick. I'm surprised to see a Vincero scoring so high. They're beating some other like big players in field watches, which we'll see coming up after this. And Vincero's considered kind of a fashion brand, but they made a nice field watch. The numbers are a little bit too modern. The case is very interesting. I really like these cuts here. It's actually similar to that Seal Hyperlight that got first place in the highest price range. I know that made some guys scratch their heads, but under the scoring system, that's how it worked out. It's technically a field watch, that Seal. Check out that highest price video if you want to hear all my thoughts on the Seal. But yeah, the Vincero is looking good. I like the colors, the blue and the cream. Looks good. Texture dial. The red one looks really cool too. The lume is surprisingly fantastic. I'm genuinely impressed. They did a good job. Good field watch. Score 78. 47th place is the 7 field. And here's the number if you want to find it. $199, 39 across, 13.5 thick. Clearly homaging Hamilton. The case is very different though. This one's PVD steel. There's a lot of different watches in 7's lineup. I think they were kind of just like a mod watch company. Like there's no 7 branding on here or anything. You just order these watches from 7. I think some guy just puts them together with parts. But this is a neat one. Something weird about the crystal. It's looking odd. The lume, I don't know what's going on here. I don't know why there's some orange stuff going on. They're shining the black light directly on it, and they didn't turn out the lights. Why? Just shine the light, turn out the light, and then take your shot. This is weird. But it gives you an idea of what the lume's like. Looks fairly decent. I mean, if it's orange lume, that's really cool. They actually look, it probably isn't. It's just orange text, and the UV flashlight is making it pop like that. It does have 200 meters water resistance, screw down crown. Pretty solid on the protection front and utility wise. No brand strength obviously for 7, score 78. All right, 48th place, the Citizen Garrison BM 8560. People love this watch. They really like this one. It's a cool watch, it's really cool. $340, 42 across, 11 thick. It's titanium. Only a push-pull crown, unfortunately. It's really pleasing. I like these colors, the orange every 2 hours. That looks cool. The day date is matched, color matched. That's really nice. It's very clean, kind of more of a Gata watch, but suitable as field watch as well. Well, Gata's supposed to do double duty. Good for formal, good for field simultaneously. It does both. You can get a bracelet, but you can also get it on this leather strap. Lume is good, but no second. Big applications of the lume. This one does have case hardening, which you'll appreciate with titanium. Hopefully prevent it from getting way too scratched. It's a solar quartz. That's really nice too. Definitely a solid option. Not at the top. It's in the passing grade, okay grade. Score of 77. All right, 49th is the Bulova A-11 hack watch. I don't know why it says hack, but, well, because it hacks. $360, 37 across, 14.2 thick. Wow, it's really thick. Oddly, gigantically thick. Why is it so thick? But it's got that standard A11 dial format where you have minute Arabics every 10. You know, that's just the standard A11 format. They have a nice coin edge bezel. I really like that. Looks good on the A11 design. The strap looks really cheap. I don't think that's going to be so great. Again, I don't know why it's so thick. Only 50 meters and a push-pull crown. Not penalized as much on this scoring system. Just tried to balance it a little bit better. Still penalized. I mean, it's losing 8 points for that. But for lume, you get hour and minute and standard Arabics, but no second hand. High brand strength with Bulova. Great traditional vibe. Score 77. All right, now we're to another kind of weird one. Is the Luminox ICE SAR. And this is an acronym. I don't know if ICE is an acronym too, but SAR is Search and Rescue. Arctic XL. $254, 46 across, 13 thick. 112 is the code you call when you're in Switzerland. You need help. The white one looks good. These ones kind of go in and out of stock, and they revise it like very frequently. But I saw the blue one, I think on Amazon, ready to purchase. So you can get this one. Has a forged carbon case, 200 meters water resistance, but only a push-pull crown. That's okay. It's a -1, not a huge deal. Oh, when you combine it with the 200. Yeah, that's right. Push-pull is -2, but 200 is a +1 bonus or something? I can't remember exactly. I'm sorry. Refer to that scoring system video. I'm just looking at the other cards on my screen, scorecards, and I can't figure out the puzzle, what the penalties and bonuses are. It's pretty well protected. And I gave it credit for crown guards. These do kind of function as crown guards. You get 14 tubes. Blue and orange, that's my favorite combo for tritium. I like it. And believe it or not, I think other Luminoxes are more expensive. This one isn't too crazy. And you get forged carbon. Forged carbon's an expensive material, so that's nice. Score of 77. 51st place is the San Martin SN 0108. 225 bucks, 38.5 cross, 12 thick. It's homaging the Longines Heritage 1938, I think is what it's called. The Longines only comes in cream. This one, they offer a white, a tan, and a black. I think the white one is the most striking. Although they did a weird thing here. It's full lume, but they have black lume on the hands. They have black lume on the numbers. It just makes it look weird. It would look better just with black text here. Like, these should just be black. Why are they green in the dark? It's just a waste. I don't understand why they did it. Look cleaner and better if these were just solid. It does have a screw down crown. It's 100 meters water resistance. San Martin is probably the most prestigious of Chinese brands. They do appear on watchcharts.com. They're listed above average. There's definitely brand strength with San Martin. It's a really classy looking field watch. Score 76. 52nd place, the Citizen Garrison AW0050. 236 bucks, 43 across, 10 thick. And as I was looking through images, I did find brown. There's a brown version of this. It may be Japanese domestic market only, but you can get a brown. They make a brown. Case is looking a little bit more rugged here. It comes on the bracelet. That's the only way to get it that I could see. And so, yeah, that's kind of a big penalty. Lume's a little bit disappointing. It's nice and thin, though. Total score of 76. 53rd place is the Marathon GPQ Tritium. 340 bucks, 34 across, 11.5. Yeah, so 34 is small. Do I need to show you the 36 again? You guys got the idea when I held it up. 34, I think people say these feel too small. It does have permanent lugs here. That's what the permanent stands for here. The case stands for the fact that it's a plastic case, so it's slightly more resistant to magnetism than a steel case. Oh yeah, this only has 30 meters water resistance. That's really not great. It's just disappointing. They need to at least do 50, but they didn't. It's got a lot of other strong stuff going on. I mean, the format is really nice. It has a great traditional vibe. Here's the lume shot. You can see those tubes looking really good. No tube on the second hand. Nice orange one at the 12 though for orientation. No date or anything. It's a good field watch. Well, it's an okay field watch. I do think there are better ones. We already saw better tritium watches too. Total score of 75. 54th place is the Sterling Burton. 300 bucks, 38 across, traditional size. Only 9 thick. They got the dimensions right on this one. Only 50 meters water resistance with a push-pull crown. That is really unfortunate. This one could score a lot higher if they tightened that stuff up. I don't care for the Fotina on the hands. These should just be white. Just white hands. I don't know why they did that. Clearly emulating CWC with the quartz printing here. Lume looks really weak. You do get lume on the second hand though. A tiny little splot of lume on the end of it. Passing grade, not top of the pack. Score 75. 55th place is the Vanga Terragraph. Yeah, I have to try to say it the German way. The Wenger, I'll just say Wenger. $280, 43 across, 11 thick. They've got the funny larger cutout for the date window. I really don't get that. I don't know what the point of it is, but some watches like to do that. I guess it just makes it look a little busier. Lume is really interesting on this though. Black lume for the Arabics. That's very unexpected. They lumed the little cross at the top. That's nice. Otherwise, it's definitely a more modern look. Didn't get that high of a traditional vibe because it does look kind of modern. It's a decent field watch though. Score 75. All right, 56th place. The other LL Bean, the Katadin field watch. 199 bucks. That's kind of a lot. 42 across, 11 thick. Yeah, it's looking cheesy to me. The lume they used is like sort of like the Aragon lume where it looks lime green. It doesn't look that great. It'd be better if it was white or Fotina, but this lime green stuff doesn't do it for me. You get your date there. It's on the larger size too. I think 42 is too large for a field watch. It's going to be all dial. It's going to look big, in my opinion. Yeah, the one on my wrist is a 40. I think we're getting to the top here with 40. The 42s just, they feel too big to me. But, you know, you do you. From what I can tell, it does not have lume. I don't think this watch actually has lume. I said they were using Aragon lume. Maybe they are. I definitely couldn't find any lume shots. And the descriptions don't describe any luminosity. So I don't think it has it. But if it does, you know, it probably gets 5 more points depending on how good the lume is. Score 74. 57th place is the 7 Titanium Sniper. 209 bucks, 39 across, 13 thick. This basket weave thing with the bullseye, very interesting choice. Stencil numerals, did kind of a unique design here. The cutout is not quite right though. The date is looking weird. Better probably just to not have a cutout at all if it's gonna look like this. And their product description is probably incomplete, but they didn't say anything about lume. They didn't have any picture of lume. So from what I can tell, there's no lume on this watch. Maybe the hands are lumed. Again, just like the LL Beam. I'm not all knowing, like I have to go with the product spec sheet. Just looking around, seeing if I can find lume for this. Couldn't find a lume shot. No lume shot for the 7 Sniper. Total score of 74. All right, here we go. The 58th place is the lowest score that's still passing. The Marathon GPQ with Mariglow. It's just conventional lume. It's nothing fancy. $280, 34 millimeters across, 11.5. According to this, there's some other colors to this. I wonder if that's correct. Maybe that's referring to the case, because you can get a green case version. You can get like a brown case version. I don't know. Maybe you can get different dial colors. Like the tritium one, poor water resistance. They could have made that better, but they didn't. And yeah, the fiber reinforced case is not the best either. Steel is a lot better. There's the Mariglow lume. Not that exciting. Tritium is definitely more exciting than this. Total score of 73. 59th place is the Timex Mark 1. They brought the Mark 1 back. Here's the reference number if you want to find this one. $299, 40 across, 12 thick. I really thought this was going to score higher. It only has 50 meters and a push-pull crown. You could swap the strap and get the score up to 78, so C+. It's just not a big player in the field watches. There's just a lot of pink stuff going on. Couldn't find a lume shot for this either, but per description, there is lume, home plate dealies, and the hands. The last time I did the field watch video, they had a different Mark 1, and that one had hand winding. I think it was smaller too. This one's a 40, and it's got an automatic movement. Total score 73. A new one to the party. In 60th place is the Sabre DL9. $292, 38 across, 12.8 thick on the thicker side. It's kind of just the H shape. This is a really cool hour hand. Yeah, it's just kind of got a circle here, but then you have this whooshy thing. How do I describe it? I could think harder and come up with a better description. I'll stick with that. You do get a color match date, 3 o'clock. I like the look of these. The white one looks so good. The white one I think has worse lume though, so that's why I scored the black one. Here is the lume on the black dial model. Looks good. No indexes, but you get all the Arabics in all 3 hands. Comes on the NATO strap. No brand strength to Sabre. Oh, I scored this wrong. I'm sorry there's so many mistakes. Loomed hands only, that is incorrect. It does have loomed Arabics too. So it would be a score 75 instead. Okay, score 75 for the Sabre. 61st place, the Smart Turnout military watch. $196, 36 across, 9 millimeters thick. Does have the date complication, which I'd prefer if it wasn't there. Again, from product description, no lume. Can't find a lume shot, so we're saying no lume on this one. You know, if all these no lume watches, if they actually had lume, probably would have had to tweak the scoring system a little bit more just to get the ratios right so that the overall percentage of passing was in my target zone. This one's barely squeaking in. It does seem like a lot of money to me for what I'm seeing on the screen. It looks very plain. It's suitable field watch. Score 73. 62nd place is the Fossil Defender. $195, 46 across. That's way too big. 10 millimeters thick. All that said, you know, it has some other redeeming features. The date is not one of them, but it is color matched. But the dial format is good. I think that's what I was trying to say. I do like that the hands are totally white. Again, for a field watch, I think that's the better way to go than the steel. The lume is solid on this one. Really surprised to see that from Fossil, but they did solid lume pattern. Bracelet really holds this one back. Score of 73. So those were all the passing grade watches out of the box, but there are still some that I can recommend if you swap the strap to something else. This is the first one of those. 63rd place is the Vostok Komandierski K34. $247, 42 across, 15 thick. Really thick. It does actually have military Arabics. You just have to squint super hard to read them because they're just white on the dial here. Not the most user-friendly to try to use those military Arabics, but they're on there. In other lighting conditions, maybe it's easier to see those. Does have screw-down crown, 100 meters water resistance. Lume is nothing to get too excited about, just the indexes and the hour and minute. That was the Vostok, score 72. 64th place is the Prezitis Service Watch. 259 bucks, 38 across, 12.5 thick. It's the A-11 style. Big spade hour hand. The hands look good. The orange lume really works with this because they have kind of cream here. I just really like it. The mix of these three colors, the white, let's call this ivory and that cream. We'll just say there's white, cream, and ivory. I know cream is not this dark, but it looks good. I like it. It works on this one. Really big crystal. Sure, that's why it's 12.5. There's no date complication or anything. The lume is fantastic. No second lume, but otherwise, really nice lume. Unfortunately, only 50 meters water resistance. Swap it off that fabric strap, you can get it up to a higher score. Get up to 76. Total score is 71. 65th place is the Origin Watch Company Vintage Field Watch. $349, 41 across, 9.5 thick. This one's a hand winding watch. You get your small seconds at the 9 o'clock. That's really cool. Substandard water resistance, 50 meters, push-pull crown. Really not any brand strength to Origin. It does actually have the military Arabics. They're on the outside. For lume, you get your Arabics in your hour and minute. No second lume. It's nice and thin. Love to see that. Total score of 70. 66th place is the Undone Terra Daybreak. 315 bucks, 37, and it's 12.8. It's 37 by 37. It's kind of a square shape, so it'll wear larger than a regular 37. Lume is actually really cool on this. I like the colors. No second lume though. They put their branding really subtly at the 6 o'clock, so you just kind of have a sterile dial look. I like the case shape. It's really interesting. Total score of 70. 67th place is the Detomaso Explorer. 327 bucks, 40 millimeters across, 13.3 thick, with green steel mesh bracelet. Take it off the bracelet if you want it to be recommended by me as a field watch. The orange and the green do not go together. Green dial also does not match the case. Got an olive green case and then just a different green for the dial. It doesn't do it for me. The lume looks decent though. You get all the Arabics, hour, minute, second. This one's not for me. Score of 69. The first one that I can't recommend at all. In 68th place, the Maven MUS-01. 168 bucks, 40 across, 8 millimeters thick, so nice and thin. Really diminutive lugs here. Comes on the parachute elastic strap. Those are really comfortable. I like those. Poor water resistance, 30 meters only. Push-pull crown. Not recommended. 69th place is the Alkin Model 1. 341 bucks, 42 across, 13.3 thick. It does actually have lume. There's the lume. Not bad, actually. Even it's gray, but it looks fine in the dark. It might be a different dial variant. I don't know. We know it has lume. We just saw the shot. Out of the box, has a score of 68, but if you swap the strap, it's recommended. 70th place, the Ventus Field Watch 1. 300 bucks, 40 across, 12.5 thick. I like the look of it. It's a very interesting dial. It's got a lot of character to it. This end link is bizarre though. I do not like the end link. 200 meters water resistance. That's nice. Lume, this is the best shot I could find. The only lume shot I could find. Arabics in all three hands is what you get. You get the minute marks. Score 67. 71st place, the only digital watch in the entire 304 watch population. The Void PXR 5-BL. 189 bucks, 45 across? What? Why is it so huge? Oh no, it's 45 tall, it's 36 across. Okay, I just did the numbers backwards or something. It's a 36, 8 millimeters thick. The only reason it's in this video is because it's perhaps the only digital watch you can find that just has time only. It's a time only watch. Okay, it does have a date. If you press a button, you go to a different screen. I just wanted to see how it would score because it's the only digital watch that just does nothing else. It doesn't score well. Gets a score of 65. I do not recommend this watch. It does have a backlight, apparently. Yeah, it's not a great World War watch, not a great traditional watch. Score 65. Another Void? In 72nd place, the Void V03D-BR. 219 bucks, 38 across, 10 millimeters thick. It's got 50 meters water resistance, push-pull crown, not good. Yeah, low contrast, steel hands on a white dial. No bueno. Not a good traditional field watch. Score 64. 73rd place is the Detroit Mint, a field sports field watch. 255 bucks, 44 across, 13 millimeters thick. The tiniest lug width. The bracelet looks so weird with this gigantic case. Is that a Willard case thing? It's just strange. I own a Detroit Mint watch. Yeah, this one's not a good field watch. Score of 63, not recommended. 74th place is the MVMT Field Automatic. 298 bucks, 42.5 across, 12.6 thick. I don't recommend it as a traditional field watch. You don't have any markings. It kind of looks cheap to me too. It doesn't look great. From the description, there's no lume. I have a watch right here in my hands that has little stickers on the hand to make it look like there's lume, but there's no lume. So that's a thing. That's definitely a thing. Yeah, don't get this one. Score 61. We are right near the end here. 75th place is the Chotovelli 8800-4 gauge. It looks like a gauge. 265 bucks, 45 across, 13.5 thick. I actually have a watch that looks like a gauge. It's that same sort of just circle. It's a cool looking watch. I put it in the video because it has the standard Arabics. Not a traditional field watch. Nobody's going to be confused about that. 12 red. Maybe I put some of these in here just to prove the scoring system. The scoring system weeds out the weird ones, the ones that are not traditional. And this brings us to the final one. What is in last place? It is the 7 German Hunter. 309 bucks, 43 across, 13 thick, 30 meters water resistance, push-pull crown, no lume. This one is actually branded. Those other two 7 watches weren't branded. This one is. It's weird they did this with the small seconds. You just get double hands, double your pleasure. Not recommended as a field watch. Score of 43, F grade. All right, so those were the field watches in the quality price category. A little bit of weird stuff at the end, but most of these were solid. Most of them were good. Where do we start seeing just solid performers? Even the Bulova A-11 scored better than I thought it would. There's a few weird ones, but mostly just a lot of good field watches in this price range. Kingsbury, I really like that one. This Boulder looks really cool. RZE has amazing lume. This Oddball Prevail. The Very Dirty Dozen. That has to be a wild card. That might have to join my collection. It's very cool. California. Boulder Venture. Highly praised. Really high scoring under my scoring system. It's a solid field watch. A little bit more of a modern take, but still preserves those traditional elements. Yeah, and that brings us to the top 5. I'm going to show you those top 5 now. Fifth place is the Bertucci A-2TS Super Classic. 245 bucks, 40 across, 13.5. Kind of on the thick side, unfortunately. And I should specify, this is the full lume version, because you can get the Super Classic in the black. This is the Super Classic with the full lume dial. They did it right. Thank you so much, Bertucci. The black hands. Full black hands, you have full lume. You don't put lume on the hands when you have the dial is what's lumed. There's no point. Yeah, here it is. See what I mean? No need for lume on those hands. They look better with none. I love that. Really excellent. And I have the backlight Bertucci, and the backlight's really cool, but you have to touch it. You have to push a button with your hands. And then I don't get the full black hands either. So I do like this Bertucci A-2T Super Classic. I think that's probably the way to go for a white dial Bertucci. This one is also much more robust than the A2 SEL I have on my wrist. This one has 200 meters water resistance, screw down crown, titanium case. You know, this one's steel, push-pull, 100 meters water resistance. So you get a lot more protection from this one on the screen, the A2T Super Classic. It's unfortunate that it's so thick, but it is a very robust watch. You get the recessed crystal. That's something that adds to the thickness because they make the case go up above that crystal. Adds thickness, but protects your crystal from blows. That's very much appreciated. It's got the robust, accurate, reliable quartz movement. Excellent. You are going to be changing the batteries sometimes, but I still think quartz is better than automatic. Comes on this interesting orangey brown Zulu strap. I mentioned the Zulu straps are so nice on Bertucci's. You can get different colors too, you know, black or green, whatever you like. Great option. Score of 93, which in other price ranges would have been like maybe the number 1. But in this price range, it's only number 5. We have 4 more watches with higher scores. I'll show you those now. 4th place is the Ver C3 Korean Field Solar. 259 bucks, 36 across, only 8.4 thick. Excellent. For traditional field watches, I just have these 2 in the collection. I just have the Timex Vietnam Camper and the Bertucci A2 SEL. I do want to add another one. I think I'm going to go for a hand winding one next. This Ver, though, is so good. It has spoken to me. Oh, man. The format is really nice on this one. It's sort of like the A-11, but you get minute Arabics every 5 minutes. You get the solar quartz. I love that. Nice Zulu strap. There's no date complication or anything. The lume is actually really solid on this as well. All 3 hands, Arabics and indexes. As I mentioned, Ver, they like to talk about how great their lume is. They screw down the crown. Just a solid choice. Really, really solid. I still may pick this one up someday. It really speaks to me for some reason. Score of 94. Third place, the Bertucci A-2TS. The TS, Solar Classic. So the T is the titanium, the S is the solar, I believe. $295, 40 across, 11 thick. Very similar to the full lume version, but this one has the solar. So it scores a little bit better. It gets a couple more points for that solar. Yeah, it actually gets 3 points more for the solar, but then it gets 1 point less. Oh, there's a lot of differences. Okay, I'm not going to go through all the nuances of how this scores differently from the full lume version. This one came out on top. The lume is not as good. That's true, but it has some other good things about it. Again, fixed lugs, titanium, 200 meters water resistance. Solid, solid watch. Total score of 95. Another one I'm fond of. I just like nice things, I guess. In second place is the RZE Urbanist. $270, 36 millimeters across, beautiful size, 11 thick. Great G10 style. They modernized it a little bit. These numbers look a little bit more modern. The hands also, and the fact that it's white. But the 12-sided bezel is something that you see in those traditional G10s sometimes. So they did that. The case shape's a little bit more modern. The black crown is an interesting move. I don't hate it. I actually find that really charming on this watch. I don't know why that is. I can't analyze why, but I like that black crown. It looks so clean. Some full lume watches, like Alba, well, Alba not so much, but what was it? The Lumi Bright, the Loris Lumi Bright. Sometimes the full lume dials have kind of a yellowish hue. This one just looks pure white. The lume is great in the dark. And yes, I do wish the hands were solid. They don't need lume. That's a missed opportunity. These could be just full black, or they could even be like blue or something. They could have done something different here. It looks very clean though. You know, that's kind of a general principle I have. I think this watch is fine how it is. I do like that. It comes with, I put parachute elastic strap. I think this is a Velcro pass-through, and Velcro pass-through is actually probably better. I have a Velcro strap on one of my watches, and it's so comfortable. It's stretchy, it's breathable, you can get exactly what you want with it. It is so darn comfortable. Titanium, really beautiful watch. The other colors are cool too. A lot of different other colors. Really high scoring. Total score of 95. And that brings us to the top watch, the one in first place. And that is the Bertucci A-2TS Retro Spec. $325, 41 across, 11 thick. The highest scoring watch in the entire series. Just out of the box. I've mentioned before, in the final runoff, I take some more subjective factors into consideration. But just raw score, this is the top. 200 meters water resistance, screw down crown, fixed lug bars. It's got the solar quartz movement. It's just so darn solid. Traditional vibe, I put 8 out of 10. I think it's really solid. I like the red on it. That gives it some more character. I like the trapezoid at the 12. That's a neat look. The lume is better than a lot of other Bertucci models because you do get a nice bigger index at the top, the 12 o'clock, to help you orient in the dark. Great Zulu straps. Like I mentioned, they're so darn comfortable. Could do without the date window. These numbers are bigger at the quadrants. Gives it just a little bit more character. Yeah, this could be the best Bertucci. It's hard to identify what is the best Bertucci. This one's the strongest performing. It's not too crazy thick either. That's my number one. Those are the top 5. Yeah, this price range had so many good field watches. It was a lot of fun to do this one. And if you've watched my channel before, you know at the end I like to talk about the Bible. Today's a little bit of an interesting passage. I'm going to be covering Jephthah, but I'll dive into that now. It's Bible time. All right, welcome to Bible time. I'm not a pastor or biblical scholar. I just like sharing the Bible. And today I'm continuing our exploration through the Hebrews 11 Hall of Faith with person number 15, Jephthah. The passage is found in Hebrews 11:32. And what more shall I say? I do not have time to tell about Gideon, Barak, Samson, and Jephthah, about David and Samuel and the prophets. So that's where Hebrews 11 is mentioning Jephthah. Doesn't explain anything about his life. Jephthah is difficult. His story is very challenging. I'll clear some of that up by the end. On the first reading, it's very challenging. I think when we dig deeper, it's not so challenging. But I mean, the fact is the text is muddy. It's not clear. The key facts of the story are not explicitly stated. It feels like there's something unsaid. It's just unresolved. In looking at him through the lens of Hebrews 11, it's important to identify what exactly the Bible is commending him for. Jephthah did something really foolish and wrong. Actually, two wrong things. And I don't think the Bible is commending him for those wrong decisions. But let's get into it. So the broad strokes of his story are, Jephthah's a mighty warrior, so the elders ask him to lead Israel in battle against the Ammonites. Before the battle, he makes a foolish, unnecessary vow that if God gives him the victory in the battle, he will offer to the Lord as a burnt sacrifice whatever comes out of his house first. That's in verses 30 and 31. When he comes back victorious, he comes back to his house, his only child, his daughter, comes out of the house. That's in Judges 11, verse 34 and 35. When Jephthah returned to his home in Mizpah, who should come out to meet him but his daughter, dancing to the sound of timbrels? She was an only child. Except for her, he had neither son nor daughter. When he saw her, he tore his clothes and cried, "Oh no, my daughter! You have brought me down, and I am devastated. I have made a vow to the Lord that I cannot break." And she agrees he has to keep his vow. For 2 months, she mourns what is about to happen, and the Bible says, he did to her as he had vowed. That's in Judges 11, 38 through 39. So he said, "Go." That's when he sent her out. And he sent her away for 2 months, and she went with her friends and bewailed her virginity on the mountains. She bewailed her virginity. And it was so at the end of 2 months that she returned to her father, and he carried out his vow with her which he had vowed. She knew no man. That's how it ends. She knew no man. Like I said, the Bible's not clear about what happened. The plain reading is confusing. Some people believe that Jephthah sacrificed his daughter as a burnt sacrifice, and others believe that she was given to the Lord for service in the temple, to be chaste her whole life and live in service to the Lord exclusively. And that does happen in other passages in the Bible. That's something women did sometimes. I'll cover the arguments for both, but before I get into that, I want to point out 2 ways that Jephthah was wrong in what he did. So it was wrong for Jephthah to, 1, make the vow, and 2, carry out the vow, which is doing evil in the name of the Lord. So firstly, the vow was bad. It was made rashly and foolishly. When you're reading the passage, he just kind of makes the vow. I don't think he thought it through. Proverbs 20, verse 25 says, "It is a trap to dedicate something rashly and only later to consider one's vows." Clearly, Jephthah did not think through what he was vowing to the Lord. Jesus actually tells us not to swear oaths at all. Matthew 5, verses 33 through 37. "Again, you have heard that it was said to the people long ago, 'Do not break your oath, but fulfill to the Lord the vows you have made.' But I tell you, do not swear an oath at all, either by heaven, for it is God's throne, or by the earth, for it is his footstool, or by Jerusalem, for it is the city of the great king. And do not swear by your head, for you cannot make even one hair white or black. All you need to say is simply yes or no. Anything beyond this comes from the evil one." It's a flawed idea to say to God, "If you do something for me, I'll do something for you." We just should not involve ourselves in that. It's better simply to do God's will in our lives without conditions. Let your yes be yes and your no be no. Jephthah thought that it would be good to offer a burnt sacrifice to God in the event God gave him victory. But that could still be done without a vow. And it could be done even if he wasn't victorious. He could just say, "God, I will offer you a burnt sacrifice when all this is over." Something like that. Perhaps Jephthah's reasoning was that God could choose the animal that he was to sacrifice. And I mean, there's another interpretation as well, which requires a lot of explanation, so I'm not going to mention it right now. Clearly, Jephthah was not expecting his daughter to come out of the house. He couldn't imagine why God would do that. It's obvious to me that the vow was bad, and that Jephthah shouldn't have made it. From this passage, I'm getting this idea that Jephthah's like, "God, you decide what I shall sacrifice." Well, no, we can't tell God what to do. God is not controlled by the vows we make. God wasn't going to divinely intervene and prevent Jephthah's daughter from emerging from the house just to rescue Jephthah from his bad vow. And that brings me to point number 2. It was wrong for him to carry out the vow. This somewhat depends on the interpretation later, if you think that she was a burnt sacrifice or she was just dedicated to the temple for a lifetime of servitude. Either way, it's wrong for him to make a vow to make another person suffer for his own bad decision. Yes, the Bible says that we have to keep our vows. I mean, Jesus said it earlier, and that's in Numbers 30, verse 2. When a man makes a vow to the Lord or takes an oath to obligate himself by a pledge, he must not break his word, but must do everything he said. Okay, so it's a grave evil to break an oath or a vow to the Lord. However, the Bible also says that a bad oath should not be carried out. Leviticus 5, verses 4 through 6. Or if anyone thoughtlessly takes an oath to do anything, I think that's clear here, he was thoughtless, whether good or evil, in any matter one might carelessly swear about, even though they are unaware of it, but then they learn of it and realize their guilt. When anyone becomes aware that they are guilty in any of these matters, they must confess in what way they have sinned. As a penalty for the sin they have committed, they must bring to the Lord a female lamb or goat from the flock as a sin offering, and the priest shall make atonement for them for their sin. So there's a way to atone if you make a foolish vow. Jephthah obviously didn't do that. He was not familiar with Leviticus 5, verses 4 through 6. But there's a broader principle under this. We should never do evil with the thought that it is God's will. You know, if you believe the sacrifice thing, that's pure evil. So if he sacrificed his daughter, it's contrary to God's law. Very clear. So many passages, but I'll give a couple. Leviticus 18:21. Do not give any of your children to be sacrificed to Molech, for you must not profane the name of your God. I am the Lord. God also stopped Abraham from sacrificing Isaac. Child sacrifice is so evil that the Bible uses language which implies it did not occur to God as a possibility that his people would try to do this. Jeremiah 32, verse 35. And they built the high places of Baal, which are in the valley of the son of Hinnom, to cause their sons and their daughters to pass through the fire to Molech, which I did not command them, nor did it come into my mind that they should do this abomination to cause Judah to sin. God is all-knowing, so it's not like he's surprised by anything we do. But I think the Bible uses this language to point out how especially evil and perverse child sacrifice is. It's as if God didn't comprehend it as being something his creation was even capable of doing. So evil. God has no evil in him, so he will not ask us to do evil. I don't hold to the view that Jephthah offered his daughter as a burnt sacrifice. I don't think that's correct. And I'll explain that in a moment. But I just wanted to make the point that even if we think we're doing God's will, but it's contradicting his law, and it requires us to do something evil, then we're mistaken. We're just wrong. God does not command us to do evil. Even though Jephthah thought he had to keep his vow, he should have realized that the vow was not in God's will. You know, he made a mistake. He made a vow, and it was not in God's will for him to do that conditional vow thing. As I showed with the Leviticus 5 passage, the Bible addresses this and offers a way out of a bad vow, a way to atone. Jephthah should have realized that the vow was his mistake, not God's, and that Jephthah should bear the consequences rather than his daughter for that error. With all that said, the assumption is sort of that he sacrificed his daughter. That's the plain reading. But I think there's a better explanation of the passage that makes more sense than that plain reading. The explanation, as I said, is that he didn't actually offer his daughter as a burnt sacrifice. Here's why I don't think that Jephthah actually sacrificed his daughter. I've got a few reasons. First one is that in verse 38, his daughter is weeping because she will never marry. Judges 11, 36 through 38. My father, she replied, you have given your word to the Lord. Do to me just as you promised, now that the Lord has avenged you of your enemies, the Ammonites. But grant me this one request, she said. Give me 2 months to roam the hills and weep with my friends, because I will never marry. She's not worried about dying here. She's worried she'll never marry. She's not worried she's going to be offered as a burnt sacrifice. She's worried she's going to be restricted in the rest of her life from being married. And he says, you may go. And he said, and he let her go for 2 months. She and her friends went into the hills and wept because she could never marry. They wept because she would never marry, not because she's about to be offered as a burnt sacrifice. In fact, the text never even says that she died. It doesn't mention a funeral, mourning, or anything. So I and others, both ancient and modern, interpret this to mean that she was to be given over to a life of perpetual virginity and service to the Lord in the tabernacle. Secondly, another huge reason is the and versus or translation of Judges 11:31. The Hebrew word here for and is vav, Strong's H9000. It's extremely flexible, and it can also be translated as or. And so when we read the passage with or, it's a totally different thing. Then it shall be that whatsoever cometh forth from of the doors of my house to meet me, when I return in peace from the children of Ammon, shall surely be the Lord's, or I will offer it up for a burnt offering. So this is a situation where he's sort of saying, whatever comes out of the door, if it's suitable as a burnt offering, burnt offering. Otherwise, it shall surely be the Lord's. And one of the reasons behind this might be whether the animal is clean or unclean. If some unclean animal comes out of his house, that wouldn't be suitable to offer as a burnt offering to the Lord. So it would be the Lord's. That word in question, vav, is the little flag with the 2 dots below it. And that word is translated as or elsewhere in Scripture. So that's one reason why it's not totally clear that it has to be and. It's or other places. And one example is Exodus 21:17. Anyone who curses their father or mother is to be put to death. Father or mother. And I suppose you could argue, oh, well, maybe, is it and there? No, or is correct here. And I know that because Jesus reiterates this exact command in Matthew 15:4. For God said, honor your father and mother, and anyone who curses their father or mother is to be put to death. And in the New Testament, it's Greek, not Hebrew. The Greek word or is Strong's 2228. And that one is much clearer. It's not like you see it and some places or other places. It's always or. Specifically, it's always contrasting two things. And there are 360 something occurrences of Strong's 2228 in the New Testament. And as I scrolled through them, I didn't read every single one. I read a bunch of them. They all say or. They never say and. This isn't just something I came up with either. John Gill presents this translation argument as well. And he cites some of the notable people who argue for this interpretation. He says Joseph and David Kimchi, Ben Melech, and Abarbanel, with others. So it's clearly a mainstream idea. There's a lot of people promoting this. Clark's commentary also makes this argument. So Adam Clark in the early 1800s says, this text is Yehovah, okay, I'm not going to try to read the Hebrew. The translation of which, according to the most accurate Hebrew scholars, is this: I will consecrate it to the Lord, or I will offer it for a burnt offering. That is, if it be a thing fit for burnt offering, it shall be made one. If fit for the service of God, it shall be consecrated to him. His daughter is not fit for a burnt offering. She's fit for the service of God. And so that's what happened. This is very convincing to me, especially because the contextual reasons against what I'm calling the plain reading burnt offering interpretation. The fact that she and her friends went out for 2 months and wept because she would never marry. And the fact that they never mentioned that she died or there was a funeral or anything. Of course, there are others who do take the plain reading view that she was actually sacrificed. That probably is the dominant view of this passage. They point out that in verse 39, after the 2 months, she returned to her father, and he did to her as he had vowed, and she was a virgin. So they say that he did to her as he vowed means that he sacrificed her. But that's the entire question up for debate. What exactly did he vow to do? I think it's contradicted by the virgin comment at the end. Why is that relevant otherwise? Her virginity is only relevant if she continues to live beyond that. There's an annual thing that happens even afterwards. Presumably that her friends come and visit her in the tabernacle to give her support for the fact that she is consecrated to the Lord. You know, if she continues to live, it implies that she's just going to have sadness for the rest of her life because she's motherless. I don't think it makes sense to say that she's sad for her virginity because she died. That's like opposite. You're sad that you're dying, not that you had to be a virgin or something. And the virginity part is tragic because it denies her opportunity to have a family. It's just not clear. The Bible's just not clear here. So whichever interpretation you take, there are lessons we can learn from Jephthah's story. And it applies either way. So number one, we shouldn't make rash vows. The Bible condemns that. And this is one of the chief examples of why. Two, if a vow leads to evil against others, we must not follow through with it. Leviticus 5 makes that clear. You make a rash vow and you're like, oh no, what did I vow? Well, there's a method to atone for it. You don't have to carry out evil acts, thinking that, well, God's making me do this evil. He is not making you do evil. The evil was making the vow, and you can atone for that evil. It should not lead to graver evil. Number three, the people whose lives are described in the Bible are not perfect by any means. Almost all the people in the Bible have serious flaws and disobedience. I said almost. I know you can find people in the Bible that it really doesn't talk about them sinning all that much. But the Bible makes clear that all have sinned. All of us. And that fact should encourage us. I'm so grateful the Bible doesn't just have these perfect people in there. It's like, oh, well, I have to be perfect somehow. It's too late for that. I already messed that up. God's love is not dependent on us perfectly following his will at all times. Thank God, literally. I've got kind of a paragraph of reading here from Brian Chappell in Holiness by Grace. He says, "Since God has secured his love for me completely through my union with Jesus, my own attitude should change about my performance of the duties God requires. I should recognize that doing my duty cannot secure any more the love that he offers, since that love and the means of securing it are complete in Christ's work. I do not earn God's love. This awareness takes the energy-sapping, heart-mutilating striving for God's affection from my life. The paths of obedience lead me to where I may understand that love more fully, but they provide no more of God's love. I don't attain any more love by being obedient. If my striving were what made God love me more, then when the Holy Spirit eventually showed me that my best works are filthy rags, I would be forced forever to doubt that I had much of God's love. As a result, I would always question his care. Yet, because of my union with Christ, I need never doubt that I am fully loved, even as the husks of my sin cling to me." Bottom line, God's full love and forgiveness are freely given to all of us who repent of our sin and believe in Christ. Nothing I do can make God love me more. I already have the full love of God. As Chappell mentioned, paths of obedience lead me to where I may understand that love more fully. It does not attain any more love from God when I'm obedient. So why is Jephthah in the Hall of Faith? Especially if you take the sacrifice view, which I don't, so maybe I should just discard that. But like with Samson, we should all ask the question the other way around. We shouldn't ask, why is this guy in the Hall of Faith? We should probably state it, because the Bible tells us he's in the Hall of Faith. What is that saying about his life? It's like, we already have the answer key to the test. This guy ended up in the Hall of Faith. Okay, why? As we've seen with literally all the other people in the Hall of Faith, there are specific moments in their lives where the great faith allowed God to bring about a great victory. And of course, there's moments in their lives where they were walking outside of God's will. I think all the figures in the Hall of Faith, we've seen that. Jephthah's faith was present when he accepted the Israelites' request for him to lead their armies. That's what I think he's commended for. And of course, actually leading the armies, that was an act of faith as well. When his half-siblings were trying to convince him to lead the armies, Jephthah said in Judges 11:9, "Suppose you take me back to fight the Ammonites, and the Lord gives them to me. Will I really be your head?" He's just trying to make sure that they're really going to let him be in charge, because they kind of hate him. But that wording he used there, "the Lord gives them to me." This shows that he recognized that if he was victorious, it would be God's doing, not his. That was his attitude. It's like, okay, I'm being asked to do this. If the victory happens, it's God's victory. God caused it to happen. That's it. That's why he's in the Hall of Faith. I guess most of what I talked about was kind of the side trail about this other weird stuff about his life. I don't think that's what the Hall of Faith is commending. The fact that he was commended, that should be great encouragement to us as well. Let us all walk in faith with God and not think that our stumbles diminish his love for us. They don't. Our obedience doesn't increase his love for us. Our stumbles don't diminish his love for us. Of course, we should walk in obedience so that we can have a better relationship with him. His love is always there, though. That's all I've got on Jephthah. This was a really challenging one. The plain reading of the passage is a head-scratcher. I think the "or" interpretation, rather than "and," actually makes much more sense narratively. And also it harmonizes with the fact he's in the Hall of Faith. Why would the Bible honor someone who sacrificed his own child? That doesn't make sense, especially since he thought he was doing it in God's will. And apparently Hebrew tradition holds that she became a servant of the tabernacle as well. That's how they always interpreted it. Now for a prayer. Lord, I'm so grateful that your love, it's beyond our comprehension, but that your love doesn't diminish or get bigger based on what we do. You're not looking how obedient is Ben today, and that's how much you love me. I'm just so grateful that your love is not contingent on my works, that your love is literally the reason why you sent your only son to the cross, and Jesus died for us, took the sin of all the world on him, and paid the price for that sin. That your justice was carried out, but that it wasn't carried out on your children who you love. And Lord, I pray If there's anyone listening who does not know Christ, pray that you would quicken their spirit. Pray that they would accept the truth, put their faith on Jesus, and be saved. Lord, I thank you for all that you do. We love you, Lord. Pray all this in Jesus' name. Amen. Now may the Lord of peace himself give you peace always and in every way. The Lord be with you all. See you next time.